With the 2023 NFL Draft rapidly approaching, the Draft Brothers simulate a first-round mock draft. Where will the players of tomorrow be drafted? Stay tuned and find out what we think might happen. Next on Draft Brothers. Okay, everybody, thanks for joining us. I am your host, Jeff Hasley. I'm joined by my draft brother, Dan Turner, and we are going to go over a first-round mock draft for you. This is our second run at it. So, Dan, how are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm excited. This is going to be fun. We have it's almost a week away now. So let's get this thing rolling.
All right, let's get to it. All right, so thanks to our friends at PFF, the Mock Draft Simulator, we are going to use this as our backdrop for the NFL Mock Draft. We've got it set for every single team, starting with the Panthers. So let's go ahead and hit this and get going. All right, so with the number one overall pick here, the Carolina Panthers are going to select Bryce Young. He is, like that was going to be a surprise. I don't know. I just kind of see him as the quarterback that can make a difference. He can make plays out of nothing. He kind of has that it factor. He's a leader. I think that the team desperately needs someone like that. The Panthers want to run more RPO style of offense, and he fits that really well. So I like Bryce Young here. I think that he's going to elevate the game of Terrace Marshall. And we'll see what happens here with the Panthers offense. It'd be great if DJ Moore was a part of that, but, alas, he is not. But, Bryce Young is my pick with Carolina. Now, Dan, what do you say Houston does here? Do they follow suit or they go somewhere else?
So before we get to number two, why no CJ Stroud?
Why not CJ Stroud? For me, I think it comes down to just a better all-around quarterback in terms of ability. Like I said before, the ability to make plays. I think CJ Stroud is a better passer of the football. I think he spins the ball better. I think he has the better chance of making a completion on a 3rd and 14 from the opposite hash to the opposite sideline, right? So Young doesn't have that, but he can run around, make plays, find open passing lanes. Ultimately, he won and he did well and produced a lot of great stats at Alabama with not such great receiving core there, So Stroud had the all-world Marvin Harrison Jr., of course, and quite the display of receivers there. So I don't know. Bryce, in my opinion, is just the better all-around intangibles type of quarterback that I think the team needs.
All right.
How's that?
So size concerns are just overblown for you?
I kind of see it like Russell Wilson, like Drew Brees, like Doug Flutie-ish, right? If he's going to get hurt, he's going to get hurt. And he's done a really good job so far of not being hurt. He's had one shoulder injury that I don't think he missed a game. So, and that's in his entire career. Nothing in high school, college, blank slate pretty much. So, I think that we're, it's kind of overblown, the size thing. And I wasn't always like that. And when I first started to kind of think about who Carolina might go with and would Bryce Young be the guy, I did some research. I ran through some processes to determine what was best. And I came to that conclusion. So we'll see. We'll see what the team actually does come Thursday night.
All right.
All right. Your turn. Houston.
All right. So Houston has a bevy of needs at the number 2 spot, quarterback, receiver. We're going to take Will Anderson Jr. here at the number 2 spot. Give new coach D'Amico Ryans his defensive centerpiece, and worry about quarterback later.
Oh, wow. So that could potentially happen. We've seen more and more about that talk, and even the odds are becoming more along the lines of D'Amico Ryans wanting to get his guy, and that would be his guy. They could also always potentially get a quarterback with their 12th pick too. That's possible. Just it just depends. All right. Well, that's good. That brings Arizona on the clock, and of course, Arizona now is upset. because Will Anderson is off the clock. So who are they going to take? Well, I'm going to say they're going to take the next best thing is trade down. But in this particular mock, we're not going to do any trade downs or trade ups for that matter. They're not going to take a quarterback here. So I'm thinking the best possible scenario here for Arizona at this particular case is to go with the next best edge piece. And I'm going to go with Tyree Wilson here for Arizona.
All right. Definitely a disappointment for Arizona. Sorry.
That's all right. All right. So you're up with the Colts. What are they going to do?
All right. So the Colts sitting at number 4 are probably high-fiving each other. That CJ Stroud just happens to be there at number 4. They didn't have to do any kind of trade up to get him. And they run to the podium to get the next franchise quarterback in CJ Stroud.
All right. CJ Stroud it is. It seems like a logical type of pick there. They could have gone Richardson. They could have even gone Will Levis. I know that earlier on there was a lot of talk about the Colts being interested in Levis, but with Stroud available, that kind of changes that.
It does,
so,
yes.
I like that. And Michael Pittman Jr. is probably smiling pretty big right now, too, as well. So
absolutely.
CJ Stroud to the Colts. Wow. So now Seattle has some options. They've got Jalen Carter. They've got Levis, Richardson, if they wanted to go that route. Wow. I think that Anthony Richardson would be a great fit in Seattle. Stay behind Geno Smith for a year, maybe a little bit more than a year. Who knows? Not quite Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre situation, right? Where Rodgers was just waiting. Or Jordan Love, for that matter, too, as well. But I do believe that Richardson can be a winning type of quarterback in this league. And it just is going to take him a little bit of time, I think. So, I mean, he really 13 games in college. That's it so far with 6 wins. He needs some time. So
not a big sample size at all.
No. So the opportunity is there for him to grow and develop under the tutelage of Geno Smith as well as Pete Carroll. So this is a big step for the Seahawks here for their future. So I'm going to take Richardson for Seattle.
All right.
Lions.
The Lions sitting there at number 6 got some good options on the board. But I think that Dan Campbell is going to take the best available player here, even though he has a bunch of red flags, and he takes Jalen Carter. I think that he can pair with Hutchinson that they got last year and form a really, really good D-line, for the foundation of that defense. So even with the red flags and the rumors that some teams have him off their board entirely, I think that Campbell thinks that he can get the most out of him there, and they take him at 6.
All right. That's not bad. It's kind of right around the sweet spot for where he might go. He's a good fit with Hutchinson. So I like that. The Lions are just continuing to add talent. Next up, the Raiders. The Raiders were kind of hoping that maybe Anthony Richardson might have fallen to them, but they do have Will Levis in their lap.
Mm-hmm.
He is an option. However,
he is an option. Yes,
he is an option. I think the Raiders need to boost their offensive line. I want to go tackle here for the Raiders, and I think the 2 best tackles here are Peter Skoronski out of Northwestern, as well as Paris Johnson from Ohio State, a little bit lower down in our PFF rankings here. But I'm going to go with Peter Skoronski, and Packers fans are upset, I think, after that, but they're not at pick 10. So we're going to go with, or not pick 10, excuse me, pick 7. I'm going to go with Peter Skoronski here to the Raiders as they get their offensive tackle.
All right. So now we're up at pick 8 with the Atlanta Falcons. They could use a quarterback. They could use some offensive help. I mean, edge rusher. I don't think there's an edge rusher available right now that is worth the 8th overall pick. I know Lucas Van Ness is there, Miles Murphy, Nolan Smith, but I think they bolster their offense here. I think they go with a receiver. I don't really like Will Levis at all, so I won't take him at any point in this draft. But I think the Falcons go ahead and pair up Drake London with Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Ooh, All right. That's it. I've seen that. That's an interesting fit. Atlanta is building their offense without their quarterback, but hey, there's always next year.
There
So
is.
yeah,
Give,
Jackson
give,
Smith and Jigba to the
give
Falcons.
Desmond
That
Ritter a
leaves,
shot.
yes, he has a shot. That leaves us with the Bears here, moving down from number 1 to number 9, and they probably wanted Skoronski, and they're upset that he went to the Raiders. So they're going to take the next best offensive tackle, and in my opinion, that's Paris Johnson. So I'm going to take Paris Johnson to the Bears. The Bears get their tackle.
All right. Everyone's getting tackles. Everyone's happy.
Yep, except for the teams who are waiting for tackle.
Except the teams that want tackles, exactly. Well, you should have lost more games then. What can we tell you?
Exactly.
Sorry. All right, so we're up at number 10 with the completely homer Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, where are you going here? Lots
I'm
of players
go ahead and say it.
gone.
I want to make our offense unstoppable. Miles Sanders got 1,200 yards. Bijan Robinson is going to get 2,000 in this offense. It's going to be Bijan Robinson. For practical purposes, he ran a similar, shotgun RPO offense in college at Texas. So that fit is pretty seamless with what Brian Johnson, the new offensive coordinator, is going to want to run with Jalen Hurts. And with Jalen Hurts' new contract, maybe he runs a little less and maybe gets a little less injured. So, we get more out of that investment that we just made in him.
All right. That's we talked about that and I think our Eagles show, if not other shows, about Bijan and where he might go, and you said that's a great fit, but Howie Roseman will never do it. Do you think Roseman is just going to zag when
I think he might. I have changed my mind a little bit. I think it is now a possibility that he does in fact zag, especially if the draft. If the draft, turns out this way, there really isn't, an offensive line player worth the 10th pick. Obviously, trading back is always an option. I don't think a defensive player, Lucas Van Ness or Nolan Smith isn't really worth the 10th pick either. Devin Witherspoon and Christian Gonzalez are worth them, but with Slay and Bradbury already cemented for at least the next 2 years, it'd be a waste to sit them for 2 years on the bench. So I think the area that gets you plug Bijan right in. He starts day one, and you make your offense that much better. So,
all right. Well, Bijan is the pick. That's going to turn heads for sure. That may be the story of the draft over Bryce Young, even, or at least very close. 1A, 1B. He'll be on a lot of TVs for sure. All right, that brings us to the Titans. Now, the Titans could go quarterback here. The Titans could go cornerback here. I think it's one of those two, but with Will Levis on the board here, I think they pull the trigger and maybe let him learn a little bit from Tannehill. But Levis, he's got the arm strength. We know that. He has some questionable decision-making. He's not exactly the most consistent college prospect. He struggled a little bit last year, granted, after an injury. But we kind of want to see him do better the year after, each year in college, and that wasn't quite the case. But there are GMs and teams and coaches around the league that think that they can solve this guy, and he definitely has the characteristics to do it. So I'm going to take Will Levis here to Tennessee. How about that?
So what do you think how long do you think he needs to sit before he's ready?
That's a good question. I mean, I think it just depends on what the coaches think and how fast and quickly he understands and develops with the playbook. So I don't know. If something happens to Tannehill, I think he's thrust in there. But for right now, I think it's going to be Tannehill.
All right, that's fair.
All right, the Texans are up. You've got them again.
I got.
Where are they going here?
They've got some good options on the board for us here.
You need me to.
Got some corners, a couple of receivers, secondary players. Excuse me. But we're going to go a little misdirection here and take Quentin Johnson.
Okay.
For the Texans. I know they still need a quarterback, but since Levis went one pick earlier, there really isn't a quarterback, worth the 12th pick. And I think that they could definitely shore up their wide receiver room. I know Mechie should be back, hopefully sometime soon. So adding a talent like QJ is just helping them that much more. They can draft another quarterback, maybe Hendon Hooker in like round 2.
Yeah, that's entirely possible. And Quentin Johnston stays in Texas at least, so you got that going for you.
Right up the road
All
from
right.
TCU.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I see him like that high of a wide receiver. This class of wide receivers just kind of, I don't know, doesn't quite do it for me. But I see the need.
Yeah.
I just think maybe he might go, and a lot of receivers might go a little bit later than we think. But I admire your pick. All right, so the Jets are up next. If the Jets want an offensive tackle, this is what we heard from Zach Rosenblatt. He's saying, "Hey, give us a tackle. Let's protect our future here." Aaron Rodgers, 1 year future, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah.
But they need someone. So we're either looking at Broderick Jones out of Georgia or Anton Harrison from Oklahoma. I think that Broderick Jones just seems like a better fit for that Jets offense. His tough tenacity, his ability to actually have quickness and run fairly well for a tackle is impressive to me. And I think that's something that's going to stand out. So I'm going to take Broderick Jones here as the tackle for the Jets.
That's a good pick. Solidify that line.
The Patriots.
All right, so the Patriots, following in the Jets' footsteps, also need some offensive line help. So, as I do like Anton Harrison maybe at this spot, but I kind of like Darnell Wright a little more for them. So I think they take Darnell Wright out of Tennessee with this one. Plug him in there and help keep Mac Jones upright for as long as possible.
That seems like a Patriots type of pick, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It does. And tackle's starting to come off the board here. That leaves us with Green Bay here with pick number 15. I'm thinking either wide receiver, but there just isn't one, as I mentioned before, right now. It picked 15 in the draft? No, I just don't see that. Tight end is a possibility, but I think it's still a little bit earlier for that. They don't really need a corner. What they could use is an edge rusher, and I'm going to go with Miles Murphy out of Clemson. I think that he's a good fit for what the Packers need. We saw them have some injuries last year at that position. I think this will give them some good depth. It might take a year or two for him to really kind of, get going in Green Bay. But I like the fit, and I think they'll be happy with that type of decision. So I'm going to take Miles Murphy.
All right. It's a good one. All right, so we're up to Washington, which has a bevy of needs here. They don't really need defensive linemen, so we're not going to go that way. They don't really need corner either. Something they could possibly use is maybe some secondary help, maybe a safety, maybe a tackle that can kick inside. So I'm going to give them Anton Harrison here, thinking that he'll probably move inside to guard for them, but they could use the help.
All right, not bad. It's a good. Tackle always a good position, especially a little bit higher in the first round. Why not? You can always use tackles, always use edge rushers, that kind of thing. All right, Steelers are up, and they've got if they want them, they can get them, and that would be Joey Porter Jr. But there's also, every cornerback on the list here.
We've ignored them completely.
I'm really surprised that corner has lasted this long, but it has. Devin Witherspoon, strong. Christian Gonzalez as well, and you've got Joey Porter here. What do the Steelers do? Otherwise, they would be targeting offensive line here, but we've kind of absorbed those tackles have gone quickly. Just like that's why the corners are here. So I just don't think they can reject and turn down Joey Porter Jr., especially with the bloodline there. So I'm going to take him to the Steelers. Hopefully the Steelers fans will be all right with that. I would think they would. They get their guy that they want. I think that there's a lot that would take him over the other two corners ahead of him. So we'll go with Porter Jr.
That's a great pick. We like that pick a lot.
Is Detroit going to follow suit?
The Detroit is going to follow suit. They're going to take a guy that, not even a month ago, this guy was going to their pick at 6. And the fact that he's lasted till 18 here is really a slam dunk for them.
Mm-hmm.
With trading away Kuda to Atlanta, they're going to need a cornerback here. So they're going to take Christian Gonzalez and say thank you very much to everyone that passed over him.
Oh, wow. All right. I like that. It's a corner run. Yep. And we are up. We are up with Tampa, who, guess what? They need a corner. Losing Sean Murphy-Bunting to the Titans in the offseason here, they could definitely use a corner. And Devin Witherspoon is staring them right in the face. I love this matchup here, for Witherspoon and the Bucs. He's a hard-nosed type of corner. He can make tackles, make plays. He's just, in my opinion, he's a top 10 pick. For him to fall this far is really, really lucky here for Tampa. So I'm going to go ahead and take Devin Witherspoon. And the teams who were waiting on corner, good luck. You're losing out. I mean, there's a few still others left, but Devin Witherspoon to the Bucs.
Top 3 all went in a row right there. So that's a good one. It's going to Tampa. All right, so Seattle, needs some D-line help. A popular destination for Jalen Carter if he makes it to 5. Obviously, in this mock, they took Richardson instead. So I'm going to take the next best defensive player on the board and go with Khalid Kancey from Pittsburgh.
Okay.
He's a versatile piece that Pete Carroll can move all around the line. He's a good match for pairing up with Jerron Reed and Darrell Taylor. So I think he'll be a good fit there along Seattle's line.
All right. I like that. Then we skip right over Miami. Sorry about that, Dolphins fans. Now we go to the Chargers. And I've seen this guy mock to the Chargers in multiple different locations and times and things that I've seen. So I think they lean tight end here. They could potentially go wide receiver like a Jordan Addison. But I don't, again, those receivers, I think they're more second round grade. So right. I'm going to take Michael Mayer here as the tight end for the Chargers. I've seen that everywhere. So I'm going to follow suit with that. I think it's a good fit. It's a need as well. And this is a good spot and a good opportunity to take arguably who is the top tight end in a strong draft class of tight ends.
Absolutely. To get that top tight end and, plug them in there with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, and having Justin Herbert throw to you is never a bad thing. So, that's a great pick. All right, so now we're up to 22 in the Baltimore Ravens. They have needs at receiver, edge, and cornerback. They did sign, Odell Beckham Jr. to a deal, so good for them there. But we're gonna stick with receiver. You can never have too many weapons, and take Jordan Addison for the Ravens. I think pairing Addison with Beckham, who we don't know is completely healthy or not yet. We don't know, what version of Beckham, comes back from his injuries. It gives Rashad Bateman a guy that they can depend on, and you can also pair with Mark Andrews. Obviously the big question is what's going to happen at quarterback, but whoever ends up starting behind center with this is going to have a good deal of weapons to throw to.
All right. Yep. I mean, I like that. Todd Monken throwing in the air raid type of offense. They're going to need as many weapons as they can get. And I think we're going to see a little bit different type of offense here from the Ravens that we haven't seen, in years past, because it's been primarily heavily running oriented. Right. So I think things are going to change in Baltimore. That's a good, solid pick. Minnesota is up, and they were thinking about Addison there, and other wide receivers could be a possibility. But I think they make a move here and they take a corner, which is a position of need, and Deion Banks is just sitting there with a really good value here at pick 23. So I'm going to go with Deontay Banks out of Maryland to the Vikings.
It's a good pick. I like it.
All right, Jaguars.
All right. So Jaguars, surprise team last year. able to make the playoffs. Had a good, come from behind, a historical win against the Chargers. So we're going to give them a little bit more defensive help here. We have a guy that has projected to go, somewhere around the teens, and he's still available. So we're going to give the Jags Lucas Van Ness out of Iowa for that edge spot. Build up that defense even more. He'll be able to pair with last year's, number 1 overall pick Trayvon Walker, Josh Allen, Devin Lloyd. So that's a making of a really good, front seven for the Jags.
All right, not bad at all. This is kind of shaping up nicely here. Kind of chalky and a little bit, just good fits here so far. I think we're doing a pretty decent job. Let's move on to the Giants.
Right.
So the Giants are looking at either a wide receiver, which I think is not a bad spot here for them. They need offensive line help, guard, center. That might be a little bit too early for them. I could see them potentially trading back, but I think the next best wide receiver that is available here is Zay Flowers out of Boston College. So I think he's going to be slotted into the Giants wide receiver core. Again, a little smaller of a guy, but he's going to make plays. He's going to get his foot in the dirt, and he's going to elude tacklers. Just think of Golden Tate, right, who they've had before. Mm-hmm. Think of Tyler Lockett. That type of range is what we're looking at here with Flowers. So I'm going to take Flowers to the Giants.
Do you think that there might be too much overlap between Flowers and Wendell Robinson?
Wandale?
Wandale? Let's say Wendell.
Yeah,
Wandale,
yeah. It's close. I mean, they're very similar type of players. I don't know. I think he's a little bit more versatile than Wandale Robinson. Of course, Robinson also coming off the ACL. But yeah, they're both very similar type of players. So we'll see how that shakes up.
Yeah. All right, on the 26 and the Dallas Cowboys, who are beside themselves that Bijan Robinson is not here for them to take. Sorry about that, Dallas. Not really. But they are going to look at the defensive side of the ball on defensive line. And I haven't taken Brian Breesy here. I think that they could definitely use some help at defensive tackle. Their run defense was quite poor last year. And he's a piece that, with pairing him with Micah Parsons and Marcus Lawrence can really be, building up a great D-line to be a threat to the rest of the NFC East.
Yeah, and when he's healthy as an interior defensive lineman, he also can get to the quarterback, and you kind of want that in addition to a run stopper, right? So he has that versatility to do that. I think that's a pretty good fit there for Dallas.
Thank you.
All right, Buffalo. Wow, Buffalo. Where do they go here, huh? Nolan Smith is on the board, and it's like, where's a good spot for him? I was kind of hoping that Brian Branch is also there that they could take. Options. Nolan Smith or Brian Branch, which would be the better fit? I'm gonna say Brian Branch here for the Bills. I really like this guy. He's a tough tackler, always around the ball. The Bills need to improve their defense, I think, as a result of what we kind of saw last year in the playoffs. I think this is a good way to do that. They add a strong, tough, on-the-ball type of safety in Brian Branch. So that's my pick.
That I'm honestly surprised that Branch lasted as long as he did.
Yeah, and Smith.
And Smith, right? Yeah, it's crazy to me that. But that's a great pick there. So right now we're at the Bengals. There's a couple of things here. I can go tight end. Dalton Kincaid is staring me in the face right there. I can go defensive line. Nolan Smith, Will McDonald. So I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. I'm gonna promote offense here and go with Dalton Kincaid to the Bengals. Pretty much the same rationale as you had with Michael Mayer.
Oh yeah.
Having Joe Burrow throw to you is never a bad thing, and that combined with with Boyd and Higgins and Chase, it's just who are you going to cover? Really, someone's
Yeah.
always good. Someone's always going to be open, and that's the kind of firepower that you need to compete with the likes of Buffalo and Kansas City in the AFC. So I think Kincaid is a maybe a little bit of a luxury pick, but I think it's definitely something that could boost their offense to the next level they need to get over that Super Bowl hump.
All right. I like that. It's a good pick. If he doesn't go to Washington, that seems like a very decent spot for him. Also Dallas too. I could see Dallas a little bit on
Yeah,
Kincaid.
absolutely.
All right, that brings us to the Saints. I'm thinking either corner here or edge. Nolan Smith is there. He's still there. Strong combine. The guy is a bender, as we call it, right? He gets around the edge quickly. But I think I'm going to go with Will McDonald here for the Saints at edge, and a little bit bigger of a prospect. I think it fits their line a little bit more efficiently, I guess. Smith is dropping, and I think it might be his size as a result. So Will McDonald is my pick. All right, that brings you up to the Eagles here at 31.
Yeah, Will McDonald, I feel like is a great Saints type pick for that spot. Definitely a Saints type player. All right, so we are back with Philly. We went and got our running back at 10. So there's a lot of good talent left on the board here, including Nolan Smith, who I did not expect to be here. I could definitely see Howie taking,
a Georgia defensive player.
Not a Georgia. No, I'm not taking a Nolan Smith either. I definitely could see him, picking one of the lines, because trenches are very important. I've already, used up all my goodwill with the Bijan pick. So I'm going to go with someone that on the defensive side of the ball that has been getting a little bit of hype lately, and I'm going to pronounce his name correctly for the first time. It's Adetomiwa Adebawore.
Oh, okay.
To the Eagles.
All right.
At number 30. He plugs into that defensive line rotation with Hassan Reddick and Josh Sweat. He's a 4.49 speed is honestly ridiculous at 280 plus pounds, and he's someone that another defensive end for the new defensive coordinator to use.
Okay, there you have it. Now the last pick here in the first round, going to the Chiefs. Oh boy, where do they go?
Nolan Smith is on the board
here. What's that?
Nolan Smith is still on the board.
He is. I told you he's falling. He's falling. I think that Smith is a first round talent. I think Emmanuel Forbes, as small as he is a first round talent. But you know what? I really was impressed with Felix. I'm going to say his name wrong. Anudike is Uzoma, right? I really like him. I think that he's going to be someone who outperforms his draft position. And he's another guy who can just get to the quarterback, make plays. So I'm going to go with Felix here to the Chiefs to conclude our first round draft.
All right,
Dan. What do you think?
I don't think it's as chalky as we may have, made it seem like at the beginning. There's definitely some surprise picks there right from the beginning. Will Anderson going to Houston. Skoronski to the Raiders.
If I could stop here real quick, I think that if Will Anderson goes number 2 to Houston, Arizona's doing whatever they can to trade out of that number 3 spot.
Oh yeah, 100%. It goes to the highest bidder, whoever it is, to come up and get CJ Stroud. Absolutely.
Anthony Richardson to Seattle, I like that. It was my pick. But I think that's a good spot for him to wait behind Geno Smith, right?
And then train.
Wow, Jalen Carter to the Lions, just adding to that defensive line is just solid.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, there's some good picks here. Bijan to the Eagles. I mean, shoot, that just puts the Eagles. They're going to say to San Francisco, "Hey, you got your McCaffrey? I got my Robinson." So they made a move strong there. Yeah. Will Levis falling outside of the top 10.
Tennessee is happy about that. They're just like, thank you. We will take it.
Yep. Quentin Johnston to the Texans. Tackle for Green Bay or for the Jets. Darnell Wright. That seems like a very, very New England pick.
Yeah.
Good pick there. I like that a lot. Miles Murphy to
That's
the Packers.
That's a good one too. That was a good pick by you.
Washington does not go tight end. They go with tackle. And like we said before, you can't really go wrong with a first-round tackle, especially in the top 20.
Nope.
So
there's that. Offensive line.
What do you make of these cornerbacks just falling? The first one taken at 17, that's just bizarre, right?
I think it's surprising, especially, not even that long ago when, Gonzalez and Witherspoon were locked in top 10 picks, and now they're just not. I think that Joey Porter to the Steelers was always consideration.
I still think they are. If Jalen Carter is gone for the Lions pick, I think they obviously could target a corner there, right?
Right, yeah.
The Raiders could as well. That's a possibility, But yeah, for them to go 1, 2, 3 in the 17, 18, 19 spot, that's interesting. But yet, that's how it fell. What else? Ravens get a wide receiver. That seems to fit their MO.
Yeah, especially with the point you made about the new offensive system they're putting in place there.
Mm-hmm. Deontay Banks, a cornerback, going to Minnesota. They decide not to go wide receiver. Well, number one, because Addison went before them. Mm-hmm. I think if Addison were there, it would be him over Banks, but there's always the second round for them to get a wide receiver.
Yeah, there's plenty of other receiving talent.
Mm-hmm.
Next, Zay Flowers to the Giants.
You seem to be a little bit iffy about Flowers to the Giants. What do you think?
It's not even about talent. I think talent-wise, he's a great player. I just think they already have a lot of smaller type, quick receivers that they might not necessarily need another Zay Flowers, especially with Wendell Robinson already there. But again, it's more talent for Jones, and you can never turn down more talent. And they do need receiver help, and he's just the best receiver left on the board. So I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I'm just worried about how he's going to fit in. But if anyone can figure it out, it's Brian Dable. So,
yep, Brian Branch to the Bills. With Micah Hyde and who's the other?
Jordan Poyer.
Thank you, Poyer. With him already on the team there, that's an interesting pick. I made the pick, but Branch for him to fall that far, I don't know. It just depends on
I was hoping he sold 4 more spots to the Eagles. I was going to take him in a second.
Yeah,
but he did not.
Well, he did not. Dalton Kincaid to the Bengals. That makes sense. We both kind of like Will McDonald to the Saints. Adi Adebawore to the Eagles. You like that pick, and just like I like Felix to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So not bad. This is where I want to ask our viewers what you think. What picks did you like? What ones didn't you like? Tell us. Let us know in the comments. So, Dan, here we go. I don't know.
All right.
Any thoughts that you have as we conclude?
I think we'll be 100% accurate with this, or your money back.
That's right. I love that because it didn't cost anything.
Because it doesn't cost you a thing.
Awesome. All right. Well, guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out our other mock draft videos from each team as we interview and discuss and talk with various different media personalities from around the league, that are representing each team. So check those out, as well as our draft previews for Draft Brothers. So that is our mock draft 2.0 as we head into draft week next week. All right. Well, everybody, we appreciate your support. Please do us a favor. If you like the show, consider subscribing and leave us a comment, literally just a comment, how we did, who you would like to see your team select. That stuff just helps out our channel. And subscribe if you can. Believe it or not, more than 90% of people watching this video are not subscribers. So change that. Hit the button. Thanks for that. Look forward to us doing more of these videos. We still have more teams to go. Our next show is on the Buffalo Bills. So stay tuned for that. We'll have Jeff Bell joining us here from footballguys.com. Big Bills fan. So for Dan Turner, I am Jeff Hasley. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
See ya.